podcast. Yay! I am Ryan Graff, and with me is Charles Rocci.
I honestly wasn't aware you were actually starting the podcast just now. I was kind of tuning out there for a bit.
Alright, well, no problem with that. And Fernando Rodriguez.
Hello, everybody, and beer.
And beer?
Wait, this isn't digital noise?
No.
Fuck.
We're not getting those mad stacks of oneofus.net money.
I don't get any of these One of Us jokes because, again, I never really paid attention to it. So whenever this happens, it's like, they're talking about that nerd shit again.
Yeah, no, trust me, you're not the only one. I don't get the whole beer thing either. So.
No, I meant, I don't even get the One of Us jokes because I don't watch one. I don't listen to One of Us.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying I'm kind of in agreement with you because it's I do listen to One of Us whenever I can. You know, I listen to their Blu-ray stuff and their reviews, but I don't get their beer jokes. When they're beer, and I'm like, okay.
I thought it was because they're alcoholic. I thought that was a joke.
Oh, because they're alcoholic? Yay for alcoholism! It's funny.
Isn't Austin, Texas just alcoholics? There's functional alcoholic. Isn't that all of Austin, Texas at this point?
Sure. No, I've never been.
The lifeblood of Austin, Texas is.
I mean, every podcast I hear of all the spill crowds was like, yeah, Austin, we drink. Every story, we were drinking, and Austin they always say in every Leog that it's the most functional alcoholics live in Austin. I'm like, okay.
I've been fucking thinking about that, and it occurs to me, you know what? Any city can say that. I mean, you listen to anyone from anywhere, it's like, oh yeah, man, this city. Drinking capital of the world, yo.
No, but I think it's actually in the top 5 alcoholic cities, with the.
But even still, there's a certain point where it's hard for me to take some of that stuff seriously when I hear it from other people because everyone fucking thinks they're the ones that drink the most because they like drinking.
I mean, and it's also a weird thing to be you know what, we drink a lot. I'm like, that says a lot.
Yeah, that's not something to be proud of. I mean, in some ways, it kind of half is, but not necessarily because you're drinking, but more if you have, and I hate to use this turn of phrase, but I guess, a diversity of, a diverse drinking culture, by which I mean, we don't just drink, we don't just drink swill beer. We have, we have all these other fine liquors we're drinking as well. I mean, I guess there's some.
We have all the craft beer in the world.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I like craft beer, because, fuck it, I'll admit it. I'm a fucking beer hipster in the sense that I refuse to drink, the really cheapy, skunky stuff, unless, if someone's offering it to me, or we're, trying to get the cheapest pitcher, maybe. But I'm just buying something for myself. I'm not buying that fucking skunk beer.
And as somebody under the age of 21, I have never at all drank before, so I have no experience.
Who are you worried about coming to bust down your door to arrest you for underage drinking? Did the cops really care about that?
That's why I said wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You didn't say any of that stuff until just now.
I was in the middle of saying wink, wink, but you interrupted me.
Oh, yeah, blame it all on me, I guess so, right?
Canadian.
Just like Akon.
I don't understand why drinking age is 21 either. It just seems kind of needless to me.
Because, obviously, you can join the army at 18, meaning that you need to drink at 21.
And then you get to rent cars at 25. Yeah. That's the one that I was always confused by. It's why 25 can you only rent a car?
I don't know, because your brain doesn't really fully develop until your late 20s anyway, so I guess it might be that.
What? So they're where it's listen, you can buy a car, but you're not allowed to rent a car, okay? That's a big deal right there, okay? Renting cars are no-go.
It might just be just because the way that insurance works, that they just did a cost-benefit analysis, and if they rent from 25 up, they get more profits that way. It just might be an insurance thing more than anything else.
I suppose, but it seems a bit just seems a bit random to me. It's it almost seemed like they just picked any number out of the air. It's well, let's see. People are over 21, so what's the next big date they can think about? I don't know. Just say they can't rent cars till they're 25. That'll show them.
Mm-hmm. It's weird, but anyway, video games.
Yes, we're going to go on to the news, everyone. Good news and bad. Well, depending on who you are.
I can't tell anymore what type of accent you're trying to do whenever you do that. Because it sounds like you're trying to do a half-hearted, Professor Farnsworth thing, but then it's just halfway through. Yeah, from Futurama.
You mean Farnsworth?
Yeah, and then halfway through it's just ooh, I have a carrot on my ass, gotta get out of here.
Well, I can't really do a good Farnsworth very long, if at all. So, so yes, the news. I guess we'll start with OnLive Services. Is shutting down on April 30th. Now, did anyone here actually ever use OnLive? Like,
What was OnLive? Was that one of the cloud gaming things they were suggesting on doing with
from what I remember, it was something like that. Or from what I remember, it was like you were able to stream games. Like, for example, you were able to stream like Darksiders 2, or not Darksiders 2, the first Darksiders.
Oh, I think I remember this now because it was
Yeah, it was like
because it was Sony's first foray into the whole cloud gaming thing. And at first everyone was a bit confused as to why they would even bother.
Yeah.
But I get the impression now I am thinking of the right one, right? That this was the one that was owned by Sony?
Let me see.
Because there was one cloud gaming service that they owned for a while.
Well, their assets were sold to Sony Computer Entertainment.
But I remember, like, it was either this one or another one where it was either owned by Sony or, like, Sony was the one giving it the most major backing or something.
Maybe. All I know is, God, Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, Sony has PlayStation now, so I guess their logic would be, if this is the one I'm thinking of where Sony's the one that owned this, they're probably thinking, well, we already have a cloud gaming service. Why the hell are we keeping up another one open?
Honestly, I don't really know anyone that actually used this, like, at all. I remember Jeff from Rage Select. I remember, like, way back in the loading bar days, like, really early on, he was talking about that for, like, I don't know, like, a total of, like, 10 minutes, and that was it. But other than that, I never really heard anyone else talk about it, like, at all.
Well, I think it was supposed to be more theoretical than anything else, where it's like, you could use it, but I think the general impression was like, they got essentially what the concept was, but of course, just because of how early the technology was, it just didn't really play out all too well. And I'm guessing, too, they probably just had a very limited selection of games that you could do that with.
Yeah. Well, apparently, the online, like, services, apparently this was, like, going on for, like, 5 years, and it's like, wow, it was going on for 5 years without me even knowing. Like, honestly, I totally forgot about OnLive, like, until now, until I found out, oh yeah, they're shutting it down. It's like, it's kind of like when you find out a celebrity you thought was dead actually did die recently, and it's like, oh, I thought that guy was dead.
It's like, well, I can't be disappointed since I already pissed on his grave the other day. Begs the question on whose grave I was pissing then.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, my bad. That's weird because it's never done that before.
That's not your bad. That's not something you can control.
Yeah. No, that's just weird because that's never happened before.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry, man. I have some friends coming over just to do some stuff, so I have to actually leave pretty soon. So.
Oh no, that's fine, man. No, that's totally fine. I understand.
It was one of those things where we were gonna hang out, but then we ended up not. But then they were like, "Oh, fuck it, we just last minute."
No, I understand. I get it. No, that's not your fault, dude. No, that's fine. No, I'll still leave you in if you want. Like,
I mean, I hope I didn't derail talk because I had a phone call in the middle of it, so I don't know if it picked it up.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine. I'll even cut this part out, and I'll just say like, "Oh yeah, Fernando, change of plans. Fernando couldn't be here or something."
Yeah.
It won't be a problem. It'll just be me and Charles and whatever idiot decides to show up, if anyone does.
Like, I don't know. Charles, do you want to do a Bloodborne review like in next week or the week after that?
Sure. Why? Are you going to talk to Alan about this?
I mean, do you want him to be on?
That is
Alan like I want to be on the goddamn podcast for one thing, but...
Okay.
So, yeah, like, if this is how we're going to get him back on, then, yeah, Bloodborne review should be fine.
Yeah, because I'll probably not beat it, but I'll be far enough to just give my I guess, a first impression, I guess, and then, I don't know, because we're not going to go into spoilers, but we could just talk about it.
Well, I doubt it, but I was going to say, that'll be interesting, because it will essentially be a war between, like, and maybe a debate between me and him just to figure out, like, yeah, like, no, this game is good. No, it isn't good.
And
I do wish that I was able to play with you guys. That way I would know. But I won't. I probably won't be able to play it until like May.
Yeah.
Because I got
Ryan was the one. Turns out Ryan was the one that started the petition for From Software bring Bloodborne to
No,
PC.
no, I actually, you know what? I think that, what is it, exclusives, that's really the only reason to buy a console. Because it's like, if Bloodborne was to be released on PC along with, like, the Order 1886 or, like, Sunset Overdrive, like, what would really be the point of buying a console?
For accessibility.
You know what I mean?
There really wouldn't be that much of a point because that's a major selling point of console.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I'm saying, conflict is good.
True. But then again, I will also say that, I think I mentioned this before, it still baffles me that there are some games where it's like, yeah, they're available on both console and PC, but then you look at the PC specs and it's like, this is surprisingly high tech for what looks like a kind of simple game. Like, it still confounds me that Killer is Dead, a game that looks kind of very simple, requires a quad-core PC in order to run.
Does it?
Yes.
Really?
This is what confused me, because I was looking at the specs and it's like, why would a game like this require a quad-core?
Yeah, that sounds weird.
And then people who did buy it that didn't have quad-cores mentioned that the game ran fine until an odd glitch tied to the fact that it wasn't a quad-core computer meant that it couldn't progress through the rest of the game.
Okay, that's maybe a fuck up on their part, on whoever did the PC version of it.
But that's my point. It's like...
See you guys, man. See you guys next week.
Okay, yeah, see ya.
I just want to leave without saying goodbye.
No problem. No problem. I mean, we were only just talking about on live. Not really a big deal.
Yep. I'm gonna see you guys. I'm gonna go do shrooms.
Yay, shrooms!
Oh, Jesus.
Honestly, I've actually wanted to try shrooms. Just
It's not that. It's really,
You are such a fucking white person. You know that?
what? I want to try shrooms and acid just because I want to try
Yes,
it.
that is such a fucking white person.
Is it really?
Yes.
I would think that's more like a hippie thing or something more than white. I want to try it just to try it.
Okay, so you're gonna go with the specific subset of white person, the hippie.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that really bad that I just want to try it just because I want to know how it feels?
It's a strange thing. In as much as,
Is it?
I don't know. I mean, would you ever just try, like, cocaine just to see what it's like?
No, because I know cocaine's, like, so much worse.
I don't know. Just whenever I hear someone saying, like, yeah, man, I just totally want to try shrooms or acid, it's just like, for any other reason just besides, like, oh, I just want to see what it's like. Because the thing is, like, shrooms have been used, like, for medical reasons.
Has it?
Yes. Well, okay. Technically, any drug that you can use recreationally, there is a possible medical reason why you could use it.
Well, I know, this might be wrong, but wasn't, like, heroin or
crack
something, like, used for, like...
It was used for opium addiction.
Yeah, like, for opium addiction, yeah.
Which is why methadone is now used for heroin addiction, because it's all effectively just based off the poppy seed.
Okay.
I actually wonder what would happen if you gave opium to a person that had a heroin addiction, whether or not that would actually sort of break them of the addiction and get them onto something that wasn't as dangerous. But then again, like, it's in no one's best interest to make opium these days, because who the fuck smokes opium?
Yeah, that's like, who smokes opium now?
No one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, we got, like, fucking tobacco and, like, a whole bunch of other
there was
shit.
tobacco beforehand. The only reason people... Never mind. I'm not getting into it.
No, I get what you're saying. No, I understand. Sorry. No, I'm just saying, like, there's a whole bunch of other shit to get addicted to now. Like...
But even still, just, like, I don't know. Whenever someone says, like, yeah, man, I just want to try shrooms and acid just because, like, I think it's pretty cool to try it out. I mean, I guess so, but...
Like, I just want to get high, honestly.
Okay, then just...
I've never tried it, and I don't know. Like, is there really actually a good reason to try shrooms and acid that you can actually think of?
No. I mean, I don't know. It was just sort of the way you said it more than anything else. Like, yeah, I just want to try it, man, because, like, it just seems so cool.
No, that's not why I want to try. I just want to try it because it's like, oh, I just want to try it. I want to see how it feels, and that's it. It's a new experience, I guess you could say.
Yeah, so is taking a cock up the ass. Are you going to try that anytime soon?
Well, no.
Oh, God. Forget I fucking asked this.
That was homophobic, Charles. How dare you? But I guess that's done for the on live services.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm trying to think, like, what games were even available on Live?
Well, that's the thing. It's like the only one that I actually knew that people were actually like talking about was it was Darksiders, the very first one, and I believe it was I think Batman Arkham Asylum.
For some reason, I want to say I wouldn't have been surprised if Mirror's Edge was one of those games. Because that seems like one of the games they would put forward for that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's one of those that I could buy.
But again, like, if this is because I know there was a point where Sony did have ownership of because it wasn't that it was created by Sony, it was just that it was bought out by Sony, and they sort of owned it as just like a streaming service. And I'm wondering now if it's just like, again, with PlayStation Now, it's like, we already have this other service, why the hell would we need to keep this one around? Because I can't think of anything else. Okay, because obviously, I guess like you can do streaming movies, but would you set up an entire division of On Live to just do streaming movies?
No.
Because outside of movies and games, like, what else would you stream with a service like that?
Nothing really. I mean, like, other than TV, movies, and, like, games, there's really
I was going to say, like,
else
because music streaming is already kind of covered with everything else. Like, that's already a field that's been taken over, so you can't really get into that one.
Yeah.
It's not like Sony has Sony does have their own streaming services for TVs and movies. So again, it's not like they need a separate division to do that. Yeah, like, I'm just trying to think of, like, what the hell else they would have done with OnLive that would have been of any particular use that they aren't doing now.
I really don't know. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons, that's, like, the big reason that I didn't really hear about it, because it was, like, I think by that time, like, I think it was, like, 2 years later, the PlayStation Now stuff was coming in, like, 2 or 3 years later, that was coming into fruition, and it was like, everyone was focusing on that. There really was no reason to have this around, for, like, 5 years, honestly.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, like, when it first started off, everyone was just like, well, this is cool in theory. Oh, and I actually think I remember the other reason why it wasn't brought up a lot, which was because I think it was like a year after it was sort of announced, that's when the whole PlayStation Network hack had happened.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's when everyone was saying, like, this is probably a good reason why cloud gaming shouldn't be a big thing right now, and I think that's kind of what slowed down a lot of things. Because, again, just when that hack happened, it's like, well, if we were in a position where cloud gaming was so prevalent, we'd all be kind of fucked over here.
Oh, yeah. That is the big downside to digital stuff or, like, streaming, is like, oh, yeah, if it's so easy to not only get into, like, a PlayStation, into Sony's, like, stuff, not once, but twice, including, like, what happened last year. I mean, like, it's pretty scary to have to deal with that.
Possibly, I don't fucking know.
Yeah. But back to what you were saying, please.
Oh, yeah, smoke pole every day, kids. No, what was I saying? I was just sort of saying, like, because, like, I'm trying to think, like, because the main conceit, of course, behind cloud gaming is that you can run a game on a piece of hardware that's a lot more advanced than anything you can get, but you're just streaming that, so you're getting, the best quality graphics and everything from that. But I'm honestly been thinking about, it's like, is that the type of situation I want to invest myself in? And it's like, not really. I'd rather just sort of have something I know will at least work 100% of the time, even if I'm not connected to the goddamn internet. Not have to worry about, oh, it's dropping now. Oh, it's dropping again.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it is one. Yeah, that's also a big problem with streaming, is like, if you have an internet connection that is good and then goes down and then is good and then goes down over and over again, it's like, oh yeah, I'm playing Batman Arkham Asylum, and then, oh no, it's done. And then it's like, oh no, now it's back up. It's like, oh no, it's done.
Yeah, it's not really the situation I am being in. And I get, like, this is all, again, you sort of have to do stuff like this just so that at some point later on down the line you can perfect the technology, but I don't know. I'm even trying to debate, like, right now whether or not that technology is the type of thing that'd be best applied to games. Yeah. Like, with other information technologies, I can definitely see the benefit, but for games, I'm actually trying to figure out whether or not that's, a very practical purpose. And quite frankly, I don't really see the big deal behind it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like, I'm sure, like, there may be, like, some edge case scenario that I'm not thinking of, but who knows?
Yeah.
I suppose it would be useful if it was one of those things where, because I have noticed this with my PS4, for instance, where, like, because games have to install now, but, like, their install sizes are a lot larger.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in that sense, maybe it would be one of those things where it'd be useful if you just want to have, like, a whole variety of games on there without actually having to download them, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, that led to the other problem that ended up happening to the PlayStation, hack, which was, well then, what actually happens, say, when you purchase a game that you're only streaming, and then you decide to remove that game? I mean, by all accounts, you purchased it, you should have access to it, but now it's gone.
Right. Well, that's also the problem with something like with DRM, with digital rights management, where it's like for example, you remember Games for Windows Live?
Yeah, but I never used it.
Yeah. Well,
That's because I don't think any games I played required it.
I actually had to use it because there were two games that actually had that. It was Grand Theft Auto 4 on Steam.
Well, I know Dark Souls
Dark
was
Souls.
the one that did that.
Yeah.
But that was because I think the reason why. I think it was because they didn't want to pay for another server or something.
Yeah. Well, it was like I don't know if you know, but Games for Windows Live has shut down.
Well, it shut down a year ago, if I remember
Yeah, it shut
correctly.
down a year ago, and only recently, what is it? What's that one racing game? I think it's like Dirt 3, I think. Just finally actually switched their thing. But it's like, if these companies that made these games didn't really give a shit enough, I mean, you were kind of screwed out of your game.
Okay. Again, another reason maybe why PC gaming is not the best.
Well, I wouldn't say
What do you mean,
PC. I wouldn't say PC gaming. I would say digital rights management.
Yeah, but this seems to be a thing that
DRMs.
primarily plagues a lot of PC games more than anything else. Not to say it doesn't happen on consoles, but very rarely does it.
I think it's like if you have something like Good Old Games, which goes out of its way to be like, yeah, this is DRM free. You're not gonna deal with DRM, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, like, I don't go on Good Old Games a lot, but I am pretty sure that they sell like newer games.
Well, okay. Speaking of someone that does frequent Good Old Games, depends on the title. Now, like
The Witcher 3, I know is being
okay, but that's only because CD Projekt Red owns Good Old Games. Like,
Do
it's
they?
their brainchild. Yes, it's their brainchild. They're
really.
the one. Yeah, Good Old Games is a Polish thing. Because, like, yeah, CD Projekt Red they're the ones that set it up. So that's why the Witcher stuff is on there. But in terms of newer stuff, I mean, you'll get newer indie games,
Right.
but you won't necessarily get, like, newer titles. Like, for instance...
Like, you won't get Grand Theft Auto 5 or something.
No, you'll never get that on there.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's actually kind of cool.
I mean, sometimes sometimes they'll bring over some newer titles, like titles sometimes that may have been from 2009, maybe. Like, for instance, they recently added Warner Brothers Interactive games to their catalog, which meant Fear 2 was actually on there.
Okay.
Which is a bit disappointing in as much as, like, it's nice to see they got that stuff, but I'm only disappointed that they don't somehow have both, like, either Condemned or Condemned 2 on there as well, because I'm pretty sure those are both owned by Warner Brothers Interactive and would fit well with the Good Old Game style. But I mean, yeah, it's true. Like, they don't have any DRM, but again, I'm just saying this seems to be primarily a PC problem.
No, that is true. That is true. And luckily, it's not been that big of a problem for now.
Well, you just said that.
Well, no. It is definitely a problem, but it hasn't been like. How can I say this? It hasn't been as bad as it could be. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. You just, from what you've told me, when something like Dirt 3 took as long as it did to switch from Games for Windows Live to not. I mean.
No, that is true. That is true. I remember. What was it? Dark Souls and. Grand Theft Auto 4, they did it like immediately, which was good. But yeah, that is the kind of thing that you freak out. That is bad, where it's like if if a company doesn't give a shit enough, then you're out of a game, which leads me to say, like, there needs to be ideas or plans, I guess you could say, to try and cover that kind of shit somehow, some
It's
way.
part of the reason why I don't really buy. I try not to buy that many games on Steam, if only because, like, I know Steam always says, "Don't worry, if that ever happens where we go down or something like that would happen, we would just flip the switch where that was no longer a thing." But that makes me think of two things. Then, A, I very much doubt it would be that simple of a thing, because I don't know. That just seems like the type of thing where, like, they're trying to reassure their audience, "Oh, don't worry, it's not going to be that big of a deal." But if only because they themselves aren't really sure what to do, but they don't want to give that impression. But if it was really that easy as just simply, like, flipping a switch, begs the question then why it's a thing. Begs the question why it's even required to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought their idea was like something along the lines of like, and this was something I heard from, like, not officially from Steam, but from something else. So, like, take it for granted, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, is that if Steam were to shut down, I think what I remember was it would somehow involve, like, they would give you the games so you can burn them all on discs and everything.
Okay, that I very much doubt that would happen.
Yeah.
For one, like, now again, I'm not trying to say this as in I think Steam's going to go down any day now or something like that. It is just one of those things where I'm saying, like, I'm a bit hesitant though.
Yeah.
But like, look at the game catalog that Steam has. Do you honestly think they're going to go to games that, like, may have been released back in 2005 and say, "Oh, you have to send this person a disc"? Why?
No. It's so you can burn them onto a disc. That's what I mean.
Okay, do you think? How many discs are you going to need to burn onto for certain games?
I don't know.
Are you going to need, like, a Blu-ray drive? For your...
Like I
don't know. Like, have you
like
seen
I
some
said,
of the games? Like, they're huge. Like, you can't just, like, burn that onto
totally.
a
No,
CD.
don't get me wrong. Yeah, there's a shitload of games, and they're getting they're getting bigger every minute. I mean, did you hear about was it Batman Arkham Knight? It's going to be like 50 gigabytes on the PlayStation.
No, but I did hear the story about how, like, Star Citizen's pretty much too big now at this point, where it's like, even after the fact that they compressed everything, it's still going to be 100 gigabytes at launch with regular updates, anywhere between 4 to 16 gigabytes. Jesus fuck. Like,
Yeah.
Like, that's an instance of where it's like, okay, that's too much stuff almost. Like,
where it's like, okay, guys, I think you've bitten more. You guys bit more than you could chew, like, in the first couple of months of this Kickstarter.
Actually, I'd say, like, the bigger problem with that more probably has to do with the fact that, again, like, just looking at, like, the internet caps. Because, yeah, with some people where it's like, they have unlimited internet pretty much for the month.
Uh-huh.
What do they care? But there's a lot of places where, like, their internet's going to be capped. How quickly is that going to burn down? Burn away just because of that game.
Yeah. I can't really imagine, like, Star Citizen. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean,
like who's going to justify? It's like, yeah, I'm going to increase my internet rates just to play this one single game.
I don't know. There's some crazy people out there. I would really not be surprised, but it would definitely not be like a majority of people. I mean, like, I would seriously doubt that.
Okay, well, the crazy person probably already has the internet connection. I'm talking about just, like, the person who was, like, mildly interested or may have donated to the Kickstarter and is now like, oh
totally.
Fuck.
Yeah, no, totally no. Like, definitely not. Yeah, they would definitely not be like, yeah, I'm not going to increase my internet, whatever, like, whatever I have to do to, like, crazy amounts just so I can play this one game. No, thank you. I got a laundry list of other games I can easily play, good sir.
What is Jeff's position on that game now, anyways? Because I remember back in the day he was super excited for it, but it almost seems now like he's not even all that interested in it.
I think he's still excited for it. I think if I remember, he was talking to, I think it was Grant, and it was during, what was it, the South by Southwest, I believe.
Okay.
Because I think that was, like, one of the times where this year, South by Southwest, they were, like, introducing video games and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that they were showing, like, a couple of new stuff new things for that game, and he was like, "Oh yeah, if it's as good as it was in the stuff that they showed, it'll probably be worth it." At least that was his thing. I mean, you can probably find the podcast. It was only like, what, 2-3 weeks old?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like Star Citizen, that seems to be one of the things where it's like, it's become way too huge for its own good.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, when did the Kickstarter for that one start again? Like, it was a while ago.
I think it was I want to say 2012.
For 2012, are you sure?
Let me see, because that's kind of cool thing is that Kickstarter always still has their old stuff. Let me see. Campaign. God damn it. Where's the date?
For some reason, I don't know why. It's felt longer than 3 years.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the weird thing is, like, 3 years always feels...
I was gonna say, yeah, like, then again, it's just that it feels longer. It doesn't mean that it is longer.
I mean, we say 3 years, I mean, that seems short, but, when you live 3 years, it's kind of fucking long. Let me see. Yeah, right here. In October 2012, the developers started a crowdfunding campaign on their own website. But then, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd say around 2012.
All right. I don't know why I thought it was in development for longer than that.
Because it feels longer. That's why.
I think what it was is, like, there was this big hype around it, but then after a while, the hype was less about the game and more just that, by the way, guys, it's made this much money. It's like, why is this a news story? Like, why are we talking about a game, like, for, like, how much money it's received in its funding? You do not see this in any other fucking, like... The closest we've had to this was when they made a big deal for The Witcher 3 about how it was undercosted relative to everything they had in it, but that was one single story. It wasn't like they then had updates about, by the way, guys, here's what they're, here's how cheap the game they were able to make it for.
Yeah. I would say the closest to that as well of, like, look how much this Kickstarter made would be Double Fine,
Well, that was for the one game.
But yeah, that was for the one game.
And, like, by the time the Kickstarter was done, it was over and done with. Even after the Kickstarter had finished, there were still reports about, like, by the way, this game still made more money because they ran their own donation thing on the site.
Yeah, it's like, by the way, this game has made $10 million. It's like, Jesus Christ, you guys have enough money to make your own fucking blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
Two of them, at least.
Again, as long as you convince me more that, like, when that game comes out, if it doesn't lift expectations...
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be the shitty thing.
It will be the Dead Sea, that's how salty the goddamn community will be.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna just blow up, Just, it's gonna be nothing on Reddit, but, like, god damn it, how come this game was so shitty? And, that is gonna be the shame.
Yeah. I know someone, I didn't realize he was the one that did it, but I know someone who's, I think he said, like, one of my other friends said, like, yeah, I signed him about the game for. He apparently has donated, like, I think $250 to the campaign.
Jesus.
But already it's like, oh my god.
Man, I wish I had $250. I need to upgrade my goddamn PC again.
I won't spend that much money on a single game. Yeah. Like, I don't...
Well, it's kind of funny.
And I asked him, like, what exactly...
Well, like, yeah, like, I don't think anyone in their right mind would or should spend it on one single game.
Like...
And yet people do.
Like, I was asking, like, well, what exactly did he get out of this? It's like, well, he just got some shit that he could play around with in the whole beta stuff. And it's like, that's it? Like, that's the big fucking thing he got out of it?
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really understood, like, dropping, like, $200 freaking dollars into a single fucking game,
Well, then again, maybe I'm not the best person to talk to about this, if only because it scared me. I've only donated, like, there are some Kickstarter games that look really good, or games that I have played that are pretty good, but I think I've only donated to one Kickstarter in my entire life, and that was for the whole, Double Toasted one. And even then, I donated at most $30.
Yeah, it's same for me. Like, I think the only two things I ever did was the Double Toasted thing, and even then, like I said, it was like, for me, it was like $10. And then for me, it was like it was this Indiegogo thing called like pixel art or something.
I'm almost surprised more people don't use Indiegogo. Not necessarily because it's better, but because Indiegogo has that whole thing where even if you don't reach the goal, you still get the money.
Really?
Yeah, I distinctly remember this because like sometimes like people will run Indiegogo campaigns and it doesn't go through all the way, yet they still get to keep the money. So I'm almost a bit surprised that not necessarily because it's a better service, but just like I'm almost surprised more people are just not like, yeah, let's just do this because we have the guarantee.
Yeah, that. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe like a lot of people don't know about that.
Or maybe that's exactly why they don't do it because it's like if we did this, people would be upset at us if it like
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that is a good point.
I mean, I don't know. It is a good question actually. Um, Speaking of double toasted, by the way, I'm guessing you still have not received your Kickstarter reward for it, have you?
No.
What did you what did you even get the $10
Or
rank
let me
again?
see, because I don't know if I even got anything, because
Like
that really wasn't my
you
interest.
you should get something. 'Cause I remember
Going down like that, Corey Coleman
it
Kickstarter.
was either some stickers or like even some pictures. I think one of the ones like he was gonna send you the photo of him as a security guard at one point. But I'm not sure if he may have shown that on the site. I'm not sure.
Ink going down like that, sticker, and a signed pic of his cartoonized self.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you haven't gotten those.
Not to my knowledge,
No.
but it's like I don't really care. It was like, I'm just doing this just to support the thing.
Well, at this point, like it's been like over a year. Like I doubt, like for instance, because I donated $30, me and a ton of other people should be getting T-shirts. But we all know, like for goddamn fact, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's made T-shirts, and people are down. They're down. Austin can pick them up, but like at that point, you're like, if the T-shirts,
that's kind of a dick move. It's like, hey, I ain't fucking I ain't mailing these. You guys.
That's kind of the weird thing because it's like you already did the expensive part, which is printing the shirt. The mailing at that point isn't necessarily any more than that. I mean, it does cost money, but not that much money.
That's funny.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, that's fucked up. That is kind of funny. But okay, let's get. You want to get to something else now?
I don't know. Like, what the fuck else is there to talk about?
Well, it's like it's like small shit more or less, where it's like, guess what? Another game has been delayed to 2016. It's like,
yeah, and in that case,
boy,
yeah, that's like Quantum Break. But again, like,
yeah, a game.
to be fair, have we even seen any footage from Quantum Break besides like the initial trailer they had for it?
It was the original trailer, and it's like 16-minute gameplay, and that's it.
But that was a while ago. Like that was like wasn't that like 8 months ago that we saw the initial gameplay thing?
Yeah, and like I said, that's it. So it's like.
So is it any fucking surprise it got delayed to 2016? I didn't even realize it was supposed to be coming out this year.
Yeah, honestly, I assumed that it was going to be coming out in 2016. And so when you say, oh yeah, it's coming out in 2016, 2015, instead of 2015, I'm like, okay, I was kind of expecting that to begin with.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of a bit of a weird one. But I don't know. Like, I'm trying to figure if anyone's even interested in that game. Because I remember, like, when people said, like, they first saw the trailer, they were definitely interested. Especially because it was made by Remedy. But then I think I heard a bunch of people said, like, the 16-minute gameplay just sort of kind of looked bland.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting as far as, like, I don't know, as, like, a third-person shooter goes, but it was, like...
Is that just all it is?
That's what I'm assuming it is like, it's a third-person shooter. That's all I'm really assuming, because that seems to be Remedy's thing, because it's like, what, they made Max Payne 2, and the Alan Wake game, and the Alan Wake DLC, and that was it.
I think Alan Wake DLC is covered under the fact they made the game, right?
Wait, what?
You made it sound like, like, oh, and of course, they did both the Alan Wake game and they did the DLC. It's like, I think that's covered under the fact. Like, this isn't like back in the day where sometimes you would have different development teams make expansion packs for a game. Presumably, if someone's making the DLC, it's because they also made the goddamn game.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, of course.
My point being is, like, I'm pretty sure when you just say, like
no, yeah, well,
and they made
more or less redundant. Yeah.
The game is like, yeah.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. But yeah, it's like, I mean, this is a game that we don't really know. Oh, God damn it, again.
The DLC.
God,
is covered
again?
Under that.
Are you okay now, or?
Game, but then, like, the expansion pack could be developed by... What do you mean, am I okay now?
No, because,
something going on?
The thing happened again.
Yeah, and your voice is cutting out.
Is it? Fucking Christ on the cop. Is it better at all, or no?
It's getting a bit better.
My internet connection is fine. It's not going down. It's not going up. It's staying at full bars.
Who knows? Anyways, I'm trying to think of the last time... Because that used to be a thing back in the day where, like, yeah, like, someone... It wouldn't be too uncommon for the same, like, someone to develop the game, and then, like, you would have a different team come in to do some, like, expansion pack for it. I'm trying to think of the last time something like that happened.
Yeah.
It's not that common for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
For some reason, I want to say maybe the first Fear game was the last time I can think of that happening, whereas expansion packs, I'm pretty sure, were developed by a different team altogether.
I think so. I don't know. Ow, son of a gun. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, but yeah, it seems like Remedy's thing has always been like third-person shooter games, and it's like, I don't know, as far like all this game seems to be is, yeah, like it seems to be like a third-person shooter with like gravity going like crazy and shit.
But I mean, I'm sure you can do some interesting stuff with that, but
oh yeah.
Again, I'm not that surprised that, like, we're not getting until 2016, because, like, well, we've barely seen that much gameplay for it anyway, so, like...
We've got, like, what, a total of, like, 16 minutes?
Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, who saw this news and thought to themselves, oh, damn it, and I was really hoping, this was going to be Game of the Year. It's like, were you even expecting it to come out this year? Like, I'm honestly trying to figure out, like, who had it in their mind that this was going to be a 2015 title?
I don't know, sometimes people surprise you and act weird like that.
I mean, I suppose you can sometimes run into maybe like a Ubisoft scenario where it's like, oh, look at this cool game we have, Child of Light. Cool, when's it coming out? In a week.
Well, that's a little...
That's a little bit quick.
Yeah, that's really fucking quick. And then it's like what? Nintendo Direct, and I swear to God, yeah, I had a hard time because I didn't know if they were.
I didn't believe
it was on April Fools.
Like who thinks to themselves that's a good idea? Like, I'm trying to figure out, like,
exactly. It's like, guys, seriously, it's April Fools. Although it's like, I don't know.
I mean, if it was Nintendo Japan just doing it for themselves, maybe you can make the arguments like maybe April Fools isn't a thing over there, which makes sense. But with Nintendo of America, they know April Fools is a thing.
Right, yeah. Like, what is it? Apparently it's like, yeah, an Attack on Titan game is coming on the 3DS, like, this May.
Yeah, the other one I heard, I think, from there was there's going to be a Shin Megami Tensei... Oh, actually, they already mentioned it, but it's like the crossover between Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem.
Yeah, which I remember, like, Shin Megami Tensei, that's made by Atlas, right? The same guys who did...
Yeah, well, because Shin Megami Tensei is technically a large brand.
Uh-huh.
Because, like the official name for Persona 4 is Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4, because it's part of the brand. But
okay.
Shin Megami Tensei is also a series of games as well, which, again, gets no less confusing over time, believe me.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, like Star Wars in a way, where it's like Star Wars, the Force Unleashed or something. You know, is it like that?
No, not even that, because like that all takes place in the same universe. A lot of these games don't. Like a lot of those games take place very separately from one another. I mean,
okay.
fuck it. Like, yeah, Persona 3 and Persona 4 are part of the same universe, but like they're not part of the same universe as the regular Shin Megami Tensei stuff. Not part of the same universe as Nocturne. Not part of the same universe as Digital Devil Summoner, or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, like the only Shin Megami Tensei games that I've played have been well, the only one that I have played was 4,
Actually,
Persona 4,
ironically
and
enough,
that's it.
ironically enough, it's not actually all that different from, say, how Final Fantasy does it, where technically every numbered game in the Final Fantasy brand is different, but you can have something where it's like, if it's like Final Fantasy Tactics, generally speaking, that's all part of the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I read like they announced I think they announced like 2 years ago that they were planning to do some crossover stuff with Shin Megami Tensei, because that's when Shin Megami Tensei 4 came out on 3DS. Got decent reviews from what I heard, but then they were saying, yeah, we hope to do a crossover with Fire Emblem, but then we didn't really get anything about it afterwards.
Yeah.
So I guess this is supposed to be it.
I would be interested, yeah, because like I said, I've never played any of the Shin Megami Tensei like alone ones. Like the only one I've played in that kind of brand was Persona 4, but this seems to be yeah, it's a crossover between Fire Emblem and that, but it seems to be going on the Wii U. Like not.
Well, yeah, they
yes.
announced it was going to be a console thing in stark contrast to the previous one, which is interesting because generally speaking, whenever Atlas develops a game in the Shin Megami Tensei universe, if it's a handheld, more often than not, it's going to Nintendo.
Right.
And if it's a console game, more often than not, it's going to Sony. So this is a bit unique in that case. But I'm guessing because it's not officially... Because it seems more like it's, again, just a crossover game, it's going to be much in the same way that, like, yeah, it's just going to be like, well, it's not really the type of thing we normally do, but then again, we are being paid to do the crossover, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I doubt you're going to see a game like this come out on, like, the PS4 or Xbox One anytime soon.
No, yeah. I must admit, yeah, like, I am interested in playing it, because it does look fun, and I always like, I don't know what it is, but I always like those games that have, like, for cutscenes, they have it, like, animated and everything. I like that.
All right.
Like what Persona 4 and 3 does, you know what I mean?
Well, that's not consistent between games, so...
Oh, no, yeah. But it seems they're doing that with this one, with the crossover game that they're doing.
Yeah, when it's on console, that's what they'll generally do, but if it's on handheld, that's not always a given.
Yeah, I think the only one that I saw in console on that do it on the handheld was Persona Q, I think.
Maybe. Like, I know Persona 4 Golden did that, but that was because that was on the Vita, and the Vita was stronger hardware than the PS2, so they didn't really have any excuse.
Yeah. But yeah, that's really it. It's like it's talking about like Attack on Titan, codename Steam, which I heard got like lukewarm reviews. The Firefly thing, or not Firefly, Fire Emblem.
Wait, codename Steam?
Yeah.
Which one's that again?
It's the one with Will Wheaton as a voice actor, but apparently it's like...
Oh, it was Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah, like something like that.
Yeah. I didn't think it got mediocre reviews. I thought it was like just like what ended up happening was because I saw this on Metacritic is like average score for it suggested it was a 69, which is like, okay, whatever. But then when you actually looked at the reviews, it was because most other places just gave it like a 7 or an 8, but then one place gave it like, I think a 0 or something, and that dragged down the rest of the scores.
Yeah. Like, I think the biggest thing that I heard was that, like, people were bitching because one of the people who reviewed it on, like, I think it was, like, Kotaku or something was like, oh, yeah, I didn't even finish the game. I quit, like, halfway through or something, so fuck all y'all.
I don't think that was Kotaku. I think that may have been...
yeah, who was it?
It probably was... I want to say that may have been not Polygon, but...
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was Polygon. My bad.
So I was going to say...
My fault.
Yeah, I was going to say Kotaku... Yeah, that is, like, Kotaku is usually something where it wouldn't admit something like that, but Polygon reviewers, they would be a bit more like, you know, like, what's the big deal? I didn't finish it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I quit halfway through playing this game I'm supposed to be reviewing.
I mean, I suppose that like that's a fair enough argument to make if the game's glitched or broken. You can't really do much about that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can understand that.
Like, if a game's too glitched or broken that you can't finish it all the way through, it's like, well, that's a fair enough point. I mean, you could finish it all the way to the end, but the fact that there is such a big, game-breaking glitch that you could be stopped halfway through, it's like, that is a significant enough thing to say that just colors my entire opinion of the rest of the game.
Right, yeah. I must admit, that is a good point where it's like, yeah, if this game is like so broken and so like busted to the point where it's like so glitchy that you can't even like move forward on the plot or really just anything, yeah, you might as well just say screw it and yeah, I ditched this because I literally could not go anywhere.
Well, I mean, that's what happened with Pillars of Eternity, apparently. Yeah. I mean, Jeff had mentioned the fact that like he encountered a major game-breaking glitch that pretty much halted his progress, so he couldn't continue.
Oh, yeah. I've been hearing, I heard good things at first about Pillars of Eternity, but then the usual Obsidian problem that they seem to have and can't get rid of came in where it was like, yep, it's full of glitches.
I don't know what it is about Obsidian and why this keeps on happening.
Yeah. It's like, how long have they been around, exactly? They've been around long enough to be like, okay, look, we need to get rid of these really fucking obvious glitches.
I don't know. The rumor I heard was that obviously this sounds like a fucking like I'm not convinced this is true, but then again, if it is, it would explain a whole hell of a lot. Whereas like someone said it was only recently that they switched from like using like handwritten notes and email to track and log their bugs, and now are using like an official like bug tracking tool to do so.
Oh, yay.
I'm not sure if that's true. That sounds like some weird, stupid, like, fucking made-up rumor. But if it is true, it's like, maybe that's what it fucking has been this entire time. That, like, they were just so bad. It's like, how do we report the bugs? No, just write it on some scrap paper. We'll figure it out sometime soon.
Yeah. It's like, hey, guys.
I'm not even sure how you can do that.
It's not that hard to... I mean, like, look, I'm not a programmer, but it's like, I wouldn't assume it's that hard to go through your game for, like, a week and be like, okay, what problem is here and what's not, and what's running fine. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to figure out if South Park had any glitches in it that were significant.
I don't think so, but it was like...
But then again, like, how do you screw up a game like that? Like, how do you make a game like that glitch out is the question.
Yeah.
But then again, I would have looked at something like Pillars of Eternity and wouldn't have thought, based on the way it looked, like, oh, it'd be a glitchy game. Apparently I was fucking wrong on that front, but...
Well, it's kind of funny. It's like, Obsidian is known for two things. For making games that the original developers will not make sequels to. Because it's like, what? Like, they did Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, a game that BioWare didn't
They were the
make.
ones that did Neverwinter Nights 2.
Yeah, a game that the original publisher didn't want to make.
It's not that the publisher didn't want to make it, it's that BioWare didn't want to make it.
Yeah, BioWare didn't want to make. Alpha Protocol, a game that BioWare also was going to make, but said, fuck it. So Obsidian took it. And then I think Fallout New Vegas was another game where it was like, they just weren't in the mood to make that kind of game. So then Obsidian picked that one up too?
It's sad because New Vegas actually does a lot of things I much prefer over in Fallout 3.
Yeah.
But then it's just like the rest of the game's like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah. I think for me, the big thing that really took me out of it was that it became so complicated near the end.
The thing I found a bit odd was like it would just refuse to let you do certain things unless you had the skill point to reach it. Whereas in Fallout 3, while it wasn't advised, you could at least attempt to do things even if you didn't have the proper skill to do so.
Right, yeah.
Which, it's just like, well, I mean, I may fail, but I at least like to have the hope that maybe it might work. I don't know, it felt a bit kind of, gatekeeping-y. But, I don't know, it's disappointing because I actually thought the combat was improved a whole hell of a lot compared to Fallout 3.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And I actually liked the fact that you could repair weapons by just simply, combusting other weapons to repair them.
Yeah, that was always a nice thing that I liked about New Vegas was doing shit Jeez.
But then
Just
again,
doing things like that.
But then again, I much preferred it when I was playing Skyrim, and I didn't have to worry about repairing my weapons at all. The only thing I had to worry about was like, okay, do I have to refill my my soul gems to, apply this enchantment?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's really it in the long run. It's like, and then they're like, I love this. It's like, we are sending out wave 4, 5, and 6 of our amiibos. It's like,
oh, is this like Nintendo? See, I think we were talking about this last week. And it's like the reason why, Activision and Disney can get away with that is because they're treating like their whole things as toys. And
yeah.
toy production just generally means even if a general product you think wouldn't sell, you still make copies of it anyways, just in case. Because fuck it, it's super cheap enough that who cares? Whereas Nintendo, it's like, effectively they're the same thing as like the Skylander or Disney Infinity toys, but they seem to have this odd fact of like, no, but we'll limit it so we can sell it whatever price we want. It's like who is this for? I have to wonder, like, who exactly is getting anything out of these amiibos?
Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck.
Because it's like, even with the Skylander stuff and
I'm still trying to figure out like who are these amiibos for? Because they're not for kids.
no,
Because like that's the point of the Skylanders.
because they're statues. I mean, like, I mean, the difference between these amiibo things and like the Disney Infinity or the Skylander thing is that they have a specific game and their specific thing that they can do. I mean, like,
well,
if you buy like the Star-Lord stuff, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, that opens up a new game for you within the whole Disney Infinity thing.
Well, more specifically, again, like that stuff is cheap enough where the idea is like, well, you buy one and you get together with your buddy and you put them together. Which, again, you look at that and you think to yourself, this sounds very eerily similar to, say, something like Pokemon, for instance. And yet, Nintendo's like, well, no, because, like, they're so expensive that I doubt any parent's going to buy them for their kid. So it begs the question, what exactly, like, who are these things for? Like, who exactly is getting the most out of this? That's what I want to know.
Well, this is what makes me want Charles Armstrong to come in. So it's like they can actually explain. So he can actually explain, like, yeah, what exactly is like these for, other than like, oh, you can play the AI of like Kirby on Super Smash Brothers or whatever. You know what I mean?
Again, like, I've heard people try to say, like, oh, well, basically what it does is it will learn your moves and you can create a better fighter. And it's like, okay, that sounds like a feature in a fighting game, then, that was taken out of the game for the purpose of selling this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get... And furthermore, like, if that's the main thing you're going to be using them for, begs the question, well, then what's the point in using them in other games, then? And then people say, like, you get different effects, but it's like, all this stuff just sounds like stuff that either should have been in the game, or just because, like, it's no big deal on their part just to put it in, or it's so pointless that no one would even have bothered with it, and it's not like it improves the game none anyways.
Right.
I don't know. I guess I'm still just trying to figure out, like, who exactly is buying these things, and, like, who is getting the most out of them. Because the more I hear about it, the more I get the distinct impression that people are just buying it because it's there. And that's it. And that even they don't really know why they're getting it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, seriously, guys, just make something. Try and figure out what these things are for, because honestly, I don't even think Nintendo can figure out what these things are actually for.
No, it's just them to make more money. And the thing is, like, you say, oh, I want Charles Armstrong on here so he can explain it, but every time he tries to explain it, it's still like, I don't get what you're getting out of this, because you seem to imply there's some benefit to all this, when it's quite clear this seems more like a hassle.
Yeah, it's like, I even have a friend who he bought them. Like, he bought, like, these 2 or 3 amiibos, and then after that, he was like, oh yeah, this is stupid, I shouldn't have bought this. And I was like,
oh my fucking god.
Yeah, totally.
You know what these things are? I just realized.
Uh-huh.
They're effectively memory cards that just happen to have different shapes.
What?
Think about it. Like, it's just a memory card. You bring it over to someone else's place and oh, we can play with my data on here. I.e., like a fucking memory card.
Oh my god.
Like,
that's kind of fucked up.
I just got myself more worried, angry about this than I thought I was going to. It's just like, okay, maybe the only reason I'm angry is because one of my friends is really into them and is trying to convince me, no, dude, this is super good, I'm trying to go everywhere, of course, to buy this stuff. It's like, why? What are you getting out of this?
Yeah, this is one of those things where we need, a Nintendo correspondent, basically, who can explain this shit to us, but I don't even think they can.
No. And the weird thing is, I even talked to my friend about it, and he says, oh, it's pretty stupid underhand, but it's a good idea. What do you mean it's a good idea? Well, I mean, they get to make money off of it. It's like, and that's a good idea. Why? It's like, well, because they're making money. How does this help you? It's like,
yeah, how does this help you in the long run?
Is it a smart idea? I mean, yeah, sure, from a financial point of view, but why do I give a fuck? Why should I be, looking at that and thinking to myself, good on them. I want to support that business practice.
Yeah, I want to support the shitty business practice of us getting screwed over.
Again,
yeah, I don't get it.
Then again, completely open here, my friend is a Nintendo fanboy to the highest order, so maybe it's just that. Maybe it's just they may be doing something that I think, is kind of stupid, something I don't like, but, I gotta give to Nintendo, they did pretty good on this one.
Oh my god. You see, maybe we need him on here, because maybe he'll...
I don't know, I keep on trying to get him onto the podcast, and he wants to join in. He's been on the podcast before, too. It's just that his work schedule is a bit busy sometimes.
Yeah, that seems to be the problem.
I don't know, if he worked on a Friday and maybe kept his Saturday open, then we should be good.
Yeah, that would work. That would be work, yeah.
But then again, I would have to schedule it with him in advance.
Yeah, true. But yeah, they seem to be it. Oh yeah, and Ubisoft is they revealed this side scroller. Apparently, it's going to be a trilogy of games called Assassin's Creed Chronicles.
Yeah, one seems to be taking place in China in the
16th century.
Well, 17th century.
Is it the 17th? I thought it was the 16th.
Well, it takes place in 1610.
Oh, okay.
You are aware how centuries work, right?
Yeah, sorry. Brain not working.
Yeah, then you're playing as someone in India in, I believe, late 1700s, early 1800s, and then you're playing as some guy in Russia right after the Russian Revolution.
Yeah,
but from what
I think he was in the comic books or something. But
well, they've all been in previous media before. The assassin that's in the first one, the one where it takes place in China.
Yeah, she was in the movie with Ezio, the short 30-40 minute movie with Ezio.
Yeah, where she was supposed to be his new protege or something when he was much older.
Yeah.
But from what I remember hearing though, from reports of this, these three games were originally part of the. I'm not sure how they're going to do them. If this is how they're going to do them, or if they're going to try and make full 3D maps. But this is originally going to be part of the stuff that you would get with the Assassin's Creed Unity Seasons Pass. And I think if you did buy the Seasons Pass, you'll still get all these games for free. But
yeah, that seems to be the thing, is that it's free for people who bought Assassin's Creed Unity, their Season Pass, which is God, why in the world would you want to do that?
Well, because what ended up happening was... Oh, yeah, because what had happened was, I'm guessing the way it was going to go was that this was going to be... you'll still have to pay for it if you didn't buy the Seasons Pass, obviously. But much like that piece of DLC that was released recently for Unity, the idea was that was going to be paid-for content if you didn't buy the Seasons Pass, but if you did, you'd get it for free. But then once they're all the Assassin's Creed Unity DLC we're just going to make for free, and the people that bought the Seasons Pass have a selection between... they have a selection of two... they can choose to get two different Ubisoft games.
Uh-huh.
And I think this is, one of the other benefits they get, which is to get these games for free alongside that, but everyone else still has to pay for it. So... I mean, you were confused because you were thinking, oh, this looks like a ripoff of Mark of the Ninja. Except the funny thing is,
well, not ripoff, but it's it's very reminiscent of Mark of the Ninja, even though
But the thing is, they've actually done 2D Assassin's Creeds before Mark of the Ninja was a thing.
All right, yeah.
Which seemed to surprise you that you didn't know this.
Well, I
existed.
I didn't know them because I didn't really hear about them.
Well, they were mostly handheld games, though, was the thing. So you
All
probably
right, yeah.
wouldn't have heard that much about them.
Oh, probably.
And I'm guessing, much like those handheld games, I very much doubt they're going to be that much involved with the whole like modern storyline thing. Because much like the handheld games, it was all purely about that specific setting that it was happening in.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's probably what's going to be. But I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell, like, from the trailer so far. The animations looked a bit stiff, but I can't tell if that was just because of the early engine they're working with. Because the other thing they said too with these 3 games is each one's going to have a slightly different visual style for each one, and not just in terms of like aesthetic look, but also just like how things are drawn and everything is going to be different as well based on the art style they're going for. So
yeah, it looks that way because like I'm looking at the trailer and all, and it's like it seems like it seems different from like the China one. Looks like a little bit more like brighter or whatever, or a little bit more like what's that engine that makes things look more comic book, like a comic book? You know what I mean? What am I thinking of?
I have no fucking clue.
Cell shaded? Is that what I'm thinking of?
That is kind of, but I'm not sure if I would call this cell shaded. But
no, but it kind of has that. That's what it reminds me of a little bit. And then it's like the Russian one is like black and white.
I think the Russian one has color.
Yeah, well, it has a little bit of color, but it's like it seems for the most part it looks like black.
Well, it's a lot more faded.
Yeah, it's a lot more faded. Yeah,
but
yeah. I don't know. I'd be willing to play this. I mean, it's just it doesn't seem like the kind of thing I'd be interested.
Well, the thing is, like, once you go from, like, as I've said before, like, once you have, like, Assassin's Creed 4, which gives you a goddamn pirate ship that you get to sail around the Caribbean with, like, it's hard to go back down from that. Like,
yeah,
that's the problem. It's just like, at the end of the day, it's just like, well, everything just seems less than. Who knows?
No, that is true.
That was the main problem a lot of people had with Unity, besides the obvious, like, bugs, which was just the fact that it's like, I don't know, I mean, like, there was just, like, you know, we go from pirate ship now back to, like, running around on the rooftops. It's like, I mean, this is fun and all, but I thought we were, like, moving past this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was one of the big problems with Unity, was like, oh, hey, you're stuck in this one little area, you're stuck in this area with no real pirate ship or no real anything, and, you know, have fun. And it's like, no, I can't really.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess it depends too on what the pricing is gonna be like. I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, like each one's probably $10, but if you buy, I don't know, but I'm sure if you bought something like $25 special like pre-order stuff, you'll get all 3 anyways. So you'll probably save like $5 or so. I'm guessing that's what the pricing is gonna be on this. I can't imagine like these things costing. Like, I can't imagine each piece costing more than 15, because at that point, if they were, it's like, this is, like, all 3 is, like, the same price as, like, a full-on game.
Yeah.
And this doesn't look like this is what it's going to be.
Yeah. I think it's, like, I think it's, like, $9.99 for, like, each one, I think.
Yeah, so, again, roughly $10, and then, I don't know, I'm sure if you I'm sure there's going to be some deal where it's, like, if you buy all 3 or something like that, you'll get it on discount or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm always willing to give a new game a shot if it's good enough.
I suppose the real question is, and like I get the impression this is the case, is whether or not it's going to be standalone or if you need Assassin's Creed Unity to play this. But I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that I don't think Ubisoft is that dumb.
Yeah,
they're probably going to be like, no, will be standalone.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be that stupid to do something like that.
I mean, then again, who knows? I mean, this is Ubisoft we're talking about. But, yeah. I personally don't really have any interest in it just because I didn't really see anything in the trailer that got me going like, oh man, this is so cool, I really want to play that.
Oh yeah, same here, but it's like, it's going to be one of those things where it's like, well, I might as well play it just to see how it is. But yeah, like, this doesn't seem like a game that I would ever want to go back to and play again.
Yeah, highly doubt it. I wonder if this not when I say last, I don't mean because like it's actually gonna have an end. But I wonder if like the next one that's coming out, the one that's coming out, November involving like Victorian London. I wonder if that's just sort of gonna be the one where like everyone is just sort of fed up and is just like we're not buying this anyways. Like we've just had it.
I could buy that. Yeah, I could believe that because it's like, seriously, guys, you really should have ended it on the third one. Honestly,
What I'm
should have probably ended on Black Flag.
you know what I'm actually more worried about. I'm more worried to see what will happen with if at this E3 they're like, guess what's coming out in November? Far Cry 5. And it's like, can we please not do like another Far Cry immediately a year afterwards?
Yeah. Like that's the problem with that whole thing where it's like, yeah, we're gonna release a new game every year, like a new game from the same IP, like once a year, every year, no matter what. And it's like you get shit like Unity where it's like so buggy and so ridiculously bad that it's like, no, we don't want any of this anymore, guys.
Did you play Far Cry 4, by the way, or?
Yeah. I played halfway, and then there was like this glitch, or something happened to where it deleted my save game, so I had to start from the beginning, and that was the point where I said, "Oh fuck that," and I dropped my controller and went on to another game.
Like, I'm not sure, like, where I am in the game because I'm currently playing it, but, what I find interesting about this, and I'll have to talk to Armstrong about it because he said he quite liked it over 3.
Uh-huh.
I'm surprisingly bored with it. Like, I admit that the action is better than Far Cry 3 in as much as it adds more stuff, but I'm not sure but is it just me or is the main character just come across as kind of a bit bland?
In the fourth one or the third?
No, the fourth one.
The fourth one?
Because I know a lot of people complain, like, in the third one, it's like, oh, you're just playing as another dude bro douchebag. And while, if you only play through the first, if you've played through the, first fifth of the game, that may be true. But what was kind of interesting was the fact that, like, as the game progresses, because he has that personality, he's not, like, screaming the entire time. Like, eventually he just comes to a point where he's like, oh man, this is fucking awesome. And then that's because you realize he's also being drugged the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, there's actually something a bit interesting there, but, like, I don't know. AJ Godley just seems like kind of an emotional... Like, he doesn't really have much going on for him is the problem.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help
it's like the most he's got is, like, I gotta dump these ashes in this specific spot somewhere.
But more than that, like, I think what's getting to me is just the fact that, like, I had a problem with this in the Assassin's Creed games after a while, where it's like, yeah, the Assassins are all about freedom, and ultimately I would rather support them than the Templars, but they were kind of getting a bit douchey towards the end, and it's just like, I'd like to just see, like, something different a bit here. The fucking Resistance group in Far Cry 4 is just like,
they're more douchebags than the fucking main guy.
I know, it's surprising. It's like, why am I fighting for these people? Because after a while, it's just like, no, like, because, like, neither leader is at all competent or, like, has any, like, good plans for the rest of the country. Because I spoiled the game for myself and I read what the ending was, and it's like, can I just kill these two people now? Because I don't want to
just work with the Troy Baker guy? He seems a lot more, like, better, really.
I mean, well, that's the secret ending to the game, where apparently if you wait at the dinner table at the beginning of the game for 15 minutes, you get, like, a secret ending where it's like, he turns out, like, the entire time he was gone, he was actually killing he was killing the Golden Path, and it's like, okay, let's go back to doing what we're doing before, and you just go to the ending of the game. But
yeah, I think that would be much better, because it's like, what? Who are the two leaders of this resistance group? Well, one is one who is a religious nut. The other
they want to reimpose, like, arranged marriages for, like, young girls. Then he wants to put a supposed prophet who's, like, 13 up as the leader of the country, and then starts killing people that decide to support the other person that was in the movement. Because he believes in a whole, like, revenge thing as part of his religion.
Right.
But then you have the other person who essentially wants to set up Pakistan in that region, because not only is it that they're conscripting child soldiers, but they want to make their entire economy based on the drug trade.
Yeah, which, like, gee, how could that?
Like, there's a certain point where you're
well,
looking at all this, and it's like, why would I help any of these
I might as well
people?
kill both of you motherfuckers and just piss off.
Yeah, like, there's a certain point where it's like I was kind of confused, like, what the point of the game was by the end of it. It's just like, what
I
exactly?
think it's basically to say, like, hey, just because you people are fighting a tyranny or a regime or whatever, doesn't mean that these fucking people are any better.
Perhaps, but then it seems odd that they only have that part at the very end of the game. Like, if that was supposed to be, like, their main thing, I would have imagined, like, that would have been, like, the twist after, like, I don't know, like, the second, like, after 2/3 of the way through the game, where that's when you find out, oh shit, like, this is the real enemy here.
Yeah.
Not something where it's like, at the very end, it's like, oops, you fucked over the country, too bad.
Yeah. Now you gotta kill them both. Now you gotta kill the other guy you were working with.
Yeah.
It does seem to be their thing where it's like their most interesting villains are like either barely there or they're like gone at the halfway point of the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, they tried to do it better in 4 just by the fact that, like, he would constantly call you up, but you very, very rarely saw him.
Yeah.
As opposed to, Voss, where you saw him a bit more, but then they just kill him, like, halfway through for
they kill
a much
the
less
most
interesting villain.
Yeah, for a much more generic villain.
I forget, was it just some British dude or something they brought on as, like,
it
the
was
other...
like some generic British guy who was like, money, yes, money. And that was really
At that point, it's like, why does he care at this point? Like, why is he getting involved in this right now?
Yeah, it's like, who gives a shit? Yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, I don't know. I do think Far Cry 3 was the better of the ones, honestly.
No, I feel like it is. Like, the gameplay in Far Cry 4 isn't bad. It's just that it's hard for me to care for it because I don't give a shit about... Yeah, I don't give a shit about the person who's the main protagonist. Because, like, I don't really care about their struggle. Because they haven't really given me a reason to... it's not necessarily that, like, Jason Brody from the first game was necessarily any better, but at least fit thematically. Whereas here, it's just like, why is he doing any of this shit? Just because he can?
Right, yeah. Yeah, because, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, I'm here, I might as well start shooting shit. I might as well start shooting everybody that I can.
Yeah, I know. It was a bit confusing, because at least in Far Cry 3, it's like, it's the logic of, well, my friends have been kidnapped, so I gotta get them back. It's like, well, that's a reasonable, that's a decent enough reason to go do something, at the very least.
Like, that's the funny thing. Like, the dude could have easily have just ended up working with Troy Baker.
Well, yeah. Which confuses me as to, like, knowing Ubisoft, I wouldn't have been surprised if, like, I was surprised that they didn't have that as an option, where it's like, if you did do that thing, then it's like, oh, here's a different campaign if you decide to go down this route.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely do think that the storytelling or the character development was at least a little bit better in the third one. As much as I hated, white rich douchebag.
But again, that was that was the point. Like, he was supposed to be that because the whole contrast then at some point is.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. That's what that's what makes sense.
Because the whole contrast then becomes interesting because as he starts to rescue his friends are still like that, but he's becoming a lot more just like realizing how much he's not like that just because he enjoys killing other people a bit too much. And then starting to realize that, like, the stuff he used to care about, he just considers rather vapid.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm reading shit and trying to write shit. But yeah, and yeah, really, that's about it, honestly. I mean, that's all
not much
we got.
Not much else fucking happened. Well, I mean... Yeah, I can't really think of anything too major that happened.
Yeah,
I mean, it's April, like, it's a slow news week.
Yeah. There's really not much to happen,
I mean, I guess there was the thing that Good Old Games recently had where it's just like,
oh, the DRM thing?
Well, yeah, but it's like if you have a physical copy of the game, you can redeem the key on there. But right now, the list seems to be incredibly limited. I think it's like...
It's like the Stalker series or something.
Yeah, and then if you're in Russia, there are 3 other games you can do it with.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, because it's like Stalker is mostly for like worldwide. Because the big thing that Good Old Games has now going on this week is that they've now added Russian language to their games now.
Huh. Like, I can't really think of anything, honestly. Like, the only thing I can even think, and it's almost like something to be laughed at, was people bitching about.
Don't you fucking talk about it.
I won't. I won't.
If only because like, I do not want to fall down this rabbit hole.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. I was just gonna say, yeah, it's just pretty funny. You know?
Like, listen, I'm gonna guess we're both gonna agree on how we feel about the issue.
Oh,
Which I'm gonna stop it now. It's like I do not want to waste half an hour on an issue that we already know what the
yeah, that we already not only agree on, but we already know about.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, yeah, that's freaking it. So I guess we'll just say, hey, wrap up this freaking podcast and be like, hey, goodbye, and thank you for listening.